We're
That's
going, we're going. Yeah, got it. All right. So I shall now.
technology.
Got it? I
Mhm.
think we're there. Hooray. Okay, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just. Great. So, welcome. Hi, Salima. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, Stephanie, it's across the ocean and across time zones, and we're back at it. So good to be with you again.
Yeah, likewise. How's it? How's the weather and life in Toronto?
In Toronto is well, today actually we've been gifted with a beautiful sunny day. It's got a crisp little feeling of fall and leaves are changing. So definitely, you can feel that stirring. Things are changing, and we're in that now starting to rest mode. And my favorite season, that's for sure. How about you?
Yeah, likewise. We've had the most beautiful Indian summer here. So, lovely sun. We've had some rain. We always get the rain, but we've had loads of really lovely sunny days. And actually, I'm not a great fan of the autumn. It always brings a little bit of a slight sort of anxiety in my system. But this year, autumn has redeemed itself. The colours are beautiful. I've just been up on the moors and yeah, so enjoying this lovely slide into winter so far.
Good, good. So we're here today to talk about a very interesting theory, and it's called the polyvagal theory.
Indeed.
And I'm super excited to bring this forward. If I could share with you, why is that important to Kundalini Yoga? The So I've been sort of hunting around, and I think this question has been sitting in the back of my mind: is why does this practice work so well? Why is it that I feel calm and relaxed after practice? Why is it after I'm teaching, not even doing the practice, but I'm in the spirit and the environment of it, and class is being conducted, whether online or live, and it feels good. And I've been hearing about this thing called polyvagal theory. And so I wanted to talk to you about it and stir up some questions. And I wanted to make sure that as practitioners and teachers of Kundalini Yoga, we all have a little understanding of what it is about our bodies that are responding so well to yoga in general.
Absolutely. So so you've done some professional training, some continuing professional training in it. So what? Give me your takeaways. Give me the what is polyvagal theory?
Oh, you're going to start with the big stuff.
The big one. I know
Okay.
one has to really simplify it, but just in a nutshell, in a
Yeah, it's I want to say just right off the bat that I'm a yoga therapist, and I'm starting to fold this into my understanding and awareness of how Kundalini yoga works. And so my cultivation of it is relatively new, but I'm going to do my best, and
Hmm.
hopefully you can follow along. And we've got some charts and graphs along the way, and I'll point you in a direction of good research material that's easy to understand. Okay, so let's start here. Um, Number one, I took a course about the vagus nerve and the polyvagal theory from embodiedphilosophy.com. And I just saw the ad come up on Facebook, so I was very excited about it, and I joined. It was a reasonable cost. And the instructor was Dr. Stephen Porges himself, the originator, the fellow who has, the doctor who has pulled this theory together and is now starting to really share his work with the world. And so as a result of that, it was 4 sections. And here was my basic takeaway. As human beings evolved, our nervous systems um, had to evolve as well, because we are social beings. And as social beings, we come out into the world, like from the get-go, from day one, being wired to connect. And that wiring for connection is really connected to the vagus nerve. And I haven't been really hearing this term. I knew that Kundalini Yoga was about the nervous system and helping to maintain and strengthen. I knew all of that, but I didn't have that specific wording about the vagus nerve. So fast forward now, I'm in this course and I'm learning. So the vagus nerve is part of the nervous system. And the nervous system, as you know, is a web of nerves and neurons and synapses that fire and connect the brain to the body and the body to the brain. So it's a very tight relationship. There are, you've heard of this already. We have a part of our experience in the nervous system that is about fight and flight. And then we have another one that is rest and digest. And it's sort of the basic understanding that most of us have. Maybe it came from high school biology. Maybe we picked it up along the way. It's actually a little bit more complex than that, but I think that's a good starting spot. So in the service of surviving is really what we're talking about with the nervous system. So here it is. The sympathetic nervous system is basically designed to protect us from danger. In other words, it operates above the threshold of conscious thought. So in other words, if we saw a lion coming towards us, or a tiger, or your boss, or an email, and we had to think about it, we would all be dead, because our thinking is too slow. We actually have to have something innate that is on guard for all the things that potentially could be harmful. Okay, so in our lives, it's pressure from external sources. It's maybe being on a busy road, it's driving, it's those things. Okay, so that's the sympathetic nervous system. It is wired for fight and flight. Then we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is made up of two components. One is the ventral vagal system, and the ventral vagal system sort of runs through the front of the body, through the lungs, through the heart, and it is really helping us to stay in a place of safety and of connection. When we don't sense safety and connection, it's the dorsal vagal system that is activated. Oh my God, I got to get out of here. Either I freeze or I fight. I'm now starting to, act aggressively. Or in its more advanced stages of shutdown, will literally shut down. And maybe you've had experiences of that. I have, where I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't feel good. That I've sort of come down into myself, and, it's going to take a little bit of work to come out of there. So this is all about the nervous system. And knowing these pieces, that number one, when, fight and flight is activated, that we can actually literally do things to come out of there, not just let it go, but rather to take a few deep breaths. We've heard that one. Move our bodies a little bit, remove ourselves from the situation, and we can actually come back, take a yoga class. We can actually come back online. And that is to be in that place of safety and social connection. How's that for an explanation?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And yeah, so we've that high school biology thing of the sympathetic and parasympathetic, it's really being sort of blown open in a way to it's far more complex. And it seems to me that there's kind of a hierarchy, isn't there? So our dorsal, that shutdown, is very much related to our kind of our reptilian roots in evolutionary biology, and then the sympathetic activation where we're ready for any threats. It's the sort of mammalian thing, isn't it? Like you said, the tiger or the email, which we
Likely
interpret with the same system, right? And then, yes, this ventral vagal, which is focused here, isn't it? It's our faces, the opening of our face, it's the throat, like you say, the heart.
So just to clarify,
Yeah,
dorsal vagal runs through the back of the body, but it is here, and the
right.
ventral here in the heart and lungs.
Okay.
So you were very close. What I found interesting about that is that the vagus nerve also controls our expression in our eyes. So when you can look at somebody and see them clearly, or eyes are the windows of the soul, and people respond to the tone of our voice, not so much what we're saying, but rather how we say it. And
Mm.
that's all coming from this area. So it's a method we have as humans to self-regulate and co-regulate. So I can read you a murder mystery at its most gory level, but if I do it in a nice, pleasing tone, you probably won't get too upset.
Right.
I can do vice versa. I can give you all sorts of compliments at a very, in a shrieking voice, and you will take offense because that didn't even sound very good. You might be saying nice words, but it didn't sound good. So we have all of that to factor in. We're quite, very sophisticated animals, we are.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And I mean, I was just listening to Stephen Porges earlier, so he's obviously the one of the originators of this theory, and he said, and I'll just quote because I thought it was quite useful: embedded in religious and spiritual practices are manipulations of vagal pathways. So this is where we get the nuts and bolts of our practice.
Absolutely.
Um, and he breaks it down to breath, to sounding, posture, and movements. And he calls these neural exercises, to be reductionists, I suppose. Um, yeah, so, and what's interesting is that there are all sorts of, for example, I was teaching this morning, we did some bowing. And I remember in class, I was thinking, what is it about bowing? What is it about bowing? And it's apparently, I just learned earlier that it's to do with the blood pressure regulators in the neck. And
Mhm.
that informs a vagal, that tones the vagus nerve, that makes us feel great. So, all those, every single religion has it, doesn't it? And it's, uh, it's actually a physiological, self regulatory tool. And I love that and about our practice of yoga.
Absolutely. And I think we can, say here that, I went through that course with Dr. Porges, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, we needed this theory actually to help validate what the ancient yogis knew all along, intuitively, um, from some wisdom dynamic that could come up with these things, and to say, if you did this, if you were chanting or you're regulating your breath or you're moving in a rhythmic kind of way, you have that additional help to your neurobiology. Amazing. Just
Amazing. Yeah, it's like possibly the only way we can truly influence the nervous system is doing these conscious practices. And I think for me, what I've realized through looking into this theory and how it relates to our practice is how we can move the issues literally from the tissues. We because 80% of the information, so this vagus nerve is reaching into all our organs, but 80% of the information highway is going to the brain. So it's this sensing, this feeling into, and so then if we want to get to the issues, probably the most efficient way to do it is to do it through the body. I mean, I certainly know when I first began regularly practicing Kundalini yoga, I would get quite a lot of catharsis in terms of emotion. Things would move, and I've never managed to really attain that anywhere else, really. Maybe one or two other things, but yeah, so if 80% of that information is going to the brain, we may as well start in the body. That's what I
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I've come across that same statistic in lots of different other studies, even in personal transformation or personal development. You can make certain decisions here. I'm going to drink more water, or I'm going to, change a habit, or, take on a new habit. You can think about it, but until and unless it gets here and you're actually physically taking action, it really doesn't register, and it certainly doesn't stick. It's just a good idea if you don't do anything about it. So 100%. I mean, that's why yoga is mind, body, spirit practice, because all of that energy is moving, and all of those um, coordinating ties, neural connections are happening. Oh, this feels good, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, you gotta feel it to heal it, as they say.
I like that. Feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
great. So, yeah, so let's just pick apart some of the. We've got a got a good time left. So just the elements within our practice. Which elements would you say
Mhm.
are the practices that directly stimulate that vagus nerve to allow us to achieve that sense of safety, rest, digest, renew and restore kind of thing? Which
Mhm.
practices are you aware of?
Yeah, so mantra for sure. So any chanting, any singing, any human toning with the vocal system. That's number one. Number two is breath work. Easy peasy. You can do that anywhere, anytime. Segment your breath, hold it a little bit longer. In fact, I have an example of a really good meditation that you can take on. The holding of postures, and also the rhythmic use of postures. So sometimes, and you know this one, ego eradicator, is arms up, thumbs up, and doing breath of fire. That's one example, or just holding and keeping that position for a few minutes. All of those things help to stimulate the body, sends messages to the brain. Stillness, and I'll throw one back to you: sit, stay, heal, as a way of really diving into the nervous system as well, because stillness is a very big aspect of it. Not always possible, depending on the level of trauma and what's taken place um, in our lives. But that's a big component, is trying, attempting, working with stillness. So those are the three main ones.
Yeah, and the extended. I was looking at a study earlier, just when I was um, refreshing my mind on all the intricacies, and that extended out breath is really one really good switch on for the vagus nerve, and they've measured the stimulation of the vagus nerve from with the in breath and the out breath. You just simply need to extend those exhales, and you've sort of activated the master switch of the system. It's incredible, really. So simple,
Yes,
isn't it?
it
Such
is.
a simple thing.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, in my yoga teacher training program, we're looking at the past, present, and future of yoga. Um, and, part of that is understanding that this whole science, this whole system of yoga, meditation, breath work is 5,000 years old. It predates the common era by 3,000 years. I mean, just that alone just blows my mind. You know, we're
Probably at
we're
least.
half, we're halfway back to the pyramids. That's pretty amazing. That's really amazing. So what it tells me is that, number one, as humans, we needed something to help us come out of our states. Whether it was 5,000 years ago or it's today, in this moment, right now, we needed that as a human species. We evolved to need this because there are threats in our environment, and there is also the safety of others. Sometimes they're one and the same, sometimes they're not.
Mm.
So this evolutionary practice has really, suggests to us that it's timeless. As humans, we've always encountered the same kind of challenges in life. So that's one. And that inner knowingness that if you hold your breath a little bit longer, that's going to help you feel better. That's going to help you recover from whatever has happened, is really so simple and also very profound.
Mm, mm, absolutely. And conversely, I think challenging the activation side of our nervous system, I think, can also help us regulate. I think it's a bit like a muscle, isn't it? So, a breath hold in might stimulate that slight activation or the fight or flight. Of course, we drop out of it. We don't tip over into anything, because if we're wise practitioners, we'll always hang back from that edge. But it's I wrote about this last week in my newsletter. It's all about the hormesis, creating a tiny bit of stress in our day-to-day practice, so that when we do face those situations, that email, the lion, all those things that make us go, oh, we've got a
Mhm.
resilience there. We're used to it. We've got and also we have an association with being able to be activated, but we've associated it in our mind with we're safe. So we can, contain a kind of a a myriad of states in one body kind of thing, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but yeah, it's all
I
about
mean, I
that
get that.
muscle.
Yeah, muscle memory. I think that there's, certain tendencies that we all have based on whatever we faced as children, and that's feels like it's hardwired, never going to change. And we can see with a little bit of breath work, a little practice, a little meditation, that some of those automatic responses can be softened, can be adjusted, can be working in our favor rather than against us. It can allow us to grow rather than, you know, stay the same.
That's
And
really interesting. I wonder, because I often wonder, can we get to those very hardwired childhood precognitive patterns? I wonder sometimes if, for me, my yoga practice is a self-soothing. Do you think we can get to that very precognitive trauma through yoga, or I mean, I think it's the million-dollar question, right?
yes, yes,
I'm not
I mean,
expecting an answer necessarily, but it's a
well,
big
I do
one, isn't
really
it?
want to answer. I really do want to answer. I think
Yeah.
that, um, you know, I don't know. Uh, Let me put that aside. I think what I've noticed for myself and for my clients is that, okay, all that stuff happened. And right here, right now, I can feel whole and complete. I
Yeah.
may still have those referring memories, I may still have those triggers, but really at the end of it all, I can still say, um, I'm in mental health recovery. And I just want to read a couple of things. In order to have mental health recovery, I keep this as a reminder by my desk, is number one, a meaningful life,
Mm.
and number two, sensing our full potential. And those things can happen even if there was trauma and the trauma is apparent to us, and those things can happen even if we are not fully healed. I think this is maybe some of the pressure that happens in healing circles and personal development, is that I can only make progress once I'm fully healed. I can write my book when I'm fully healed. I can become a teacher when I'm fully healed, or step into my autonomy if I'm fully healed. And not so, not so. And I, you know, do a lot of work with people through numerology, and I see their numbers, their date of birth, and then I see also the stories they come into the conversation with, stories meaning life experiences. And I think, you know what? You were destined for all this success. All of it. It's all your birthright. And the path that you had to take in order to get here, that's unique to you. And it's okay. And I think seeing that gives me hope and courage. It means that there's never a dull moment, and there's never like, it's throw in the towel. Nothing's gonna good come of this. And it may feel like a hard slog. I'll take that for myself, and also I'll extend that compassion to others. And I think true healing is that understanding of meaningful life. I know that I can contribute in a meaningful way, and I am, to the best of my ability, living up to my full potential. So, I can say that that's what I walk with as an intention.
Lovely. And I think also to remind ourselves that we're not broken. We're like that Persian carpet, you know. There's always a mistake in a Persian carpet. The perfection is almost poof, it's gone. So here we are on this beautiful planet, and none of us are broken. We're just muddling our way through it, really. I mean, certainly I know I'm a different person from when I started this practice in earnest. I am much more considered. I don't rise to the bait quite so easily. I'm not easily riled. Um, I have much more of a handle on my emotional highs and lows. They're still there, they're still there. But yeah, so things just come into more of a slow kind of sine wave, don't they, as opposed to that, or they have for me anyway, that
Yes,
reactivity.
yes. something about maturity, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
that too.
being in the oven long enough to feel a
That
little more
too.
baked.
I think when you get to women of our age as well, it's yeah, the zero principle, excuse me, not
The zero
offense.
principle. I like it a
That
lot.
starts coming in strong. Okay, so I'm aware of the time. I thought maybe I should move it on a little bit. Unless there's anything else you wanted to say on the subject. Oh, was there anything else you wanted to say? Yes, because I think you had
Hmm.
a.
No, I think that what the polyvagal theory tells me is that yoga has innate wisdom that is now getting documented. So you could say that science, social science, is starting to catch up with the amount of potentiality that exists in this ancient practice. I think it's a technology in and of itself that's now starting to become part of our, more part of our daily conversation. So, it was a pleasure to be able to draw the line into this group, and also to say, there's it's valid, it works, and so practice on. Roll
Yes,
out your mat and
absolutely.
practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely part of our evolutionary story, I'd say, to integrate these spiritual sciences into our mundane daily life.
True. What have you been up to these days? What is your package of goodies that you're offering these days?
Okay, so I am offering two types of membership at the moment. I'm offering I do three live streams a week. Obviously, they're in my time zone, UK time zone. So some people opt to join me for the live streams and the replays, which go out every week, and some people simply offer to simply want to join in with the replays, so they get to hop on to my replays whenever and wherever they like, and I've got all sorts of different practices on there that they can pick from. So that's actually proving to be really popular because not everybody can join me at my schedule, and this is what I love about the online thing. That's if somebody couldn't join me this morning, she's going to watch the replay tomorrow morning. I don't teach till Friday again, actually Thursday, but it's in person here. So yeah, so I've got those two levels of membership, and yeah, gearing up for Christmas, and I'll be offering some private one-to-one packages and personal practices for people. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's exciting, and all with these wonderful spiritual science and technology woven into the whole recipe.
I love it.
How about yourself? Tell me what's happening in YogaVision world.
Yeah, YogaVision world is steadily, um, so steadily moving and growing. So I've been doing a lot of lives on Instagram now, so you can catch that at YogaVision on Instagram. Continuing on with posting on YouTube, so you can see a lot of the practices there. I'm experimenting with shorts and seeing what the TikTok world has, how they're responding over there. And my nuts and bolts of what I do is really numerology. So that's one-to-one consults with a personalized 40-day practice, and Kundalini yoga teacher training. That's been a really great joy because people from all over the world who are joining in with a certain enthusiasm and commitment to spiritual, energetic, mental and emotional growth. And that means more teachers out in the world. And
Yeah.
powerful, what a powerful thing to have being a part of. I mean, I feel very blessed to be there now. And then monthly package like you, access to all sorts of things that are behind the scenes on my YouTube channel that you can't see from on the free end of YouTube, but are there and available: hatha, yin, chair yoga, lots of other practices. So
Beautiful.
yeah, lots of
Yes, same as me. Lots of lovely offerings and delights. I love chair yoga. I'm really enjoying exploring chair yoga at the moment. So there's so much you can do with it, and it's so accessible. Yeah, I teach a couple of sessions of chair yoga a week. Good. So we'll put some links in the bottom if anyone's interested in the comments if you want to just check out what we're doing off these platforms. I just wanted to we had a little slot planned of what we're reading, what's interesting us. So I'll just share quickly what I'm reading at the moment and what I'm enjoying. Apropos of nothing really. So I'm currently studying natural law and universal law. I'm not at law school. I'm studying a more esoteric form of law, but does have some relevance. So I've got this wonderful book, The Strange Laws of Old England, which is quite interesting. And we have a good old chuckle at some of them sometimes, but some quite interesting laws that we used to have in these lands. So that's a bit of fun. And then this is another book I'm reading. It's called Spirit World by a guy called Dylan Saccoccio. Obviously an Italian name there, but it's English. And it's just about sort of the esoteric roots of culture, words, law. So these are all the things that are interesting me. Yes, law, etymology, and what's underneath our cultural assumptions.
Mm.
So how
Okay.
about you? What's your current reads or listens,
Yes.
podcasts?
I just finished this course with Dr. Porges through Embodied Philosophy, and they have a lot of very interesting
They
other
do.
follow-ups. Yeah,
Yeah.
and very, reasonably priced, so you can jump in on that one anytime. I'm reading right now a book called, I'm just pulling it up right now. It's called The Mountain Is You by
Ooh.
Brianna Wiest. And her book is about self-sabotage and what is the process involved there. And some really interesting takeaways, that number one, that when we self-sabotage, we are actually signaling to ourselves, I'm not ready. So it's not necessarily a place of condemnation. I can never, follow a good, healthy diet. I can never do this. I can never do that. Not in the space of readiness. I don't have the support that I need in order to move forward. And that's a whole other conversation. That's a very different exploration of what needs to be put into place in order for a goal or something else to be achieved. And so this has been a really good book. It's read by the author. So, I always love that because it gives a little bit more to think about and in the author's own voice. And then just before then, I read a very stimulating book, and it's called Come As You Are. And this is about women's sexuality and self-expression. Really groundbreaking work, very liberating to read, and also to reclaim some of that self-expression. She uses a very key term, all the same parts, organized in unique ways.
Hmm. That
So
sounds
sometimes,
very interesting.
yeah, sometimes we think, well, sex is 1 + 1 = 2, but it's not. Sometimes we think gender expression is 1 + 1 = 2, and it's not. And I think the more open we are culturally, socially to those ideas, the more room we have for each other. And co-regulation is part of the vagal theory. It's part of how we are designed.
Yeah.
So the more that we can be empathetic and compassionate with others, um, the better off our systems are.
Yes. In a way, yeah, it's an evolutionary leap still, isn't it? To move from that fight or flight, polarity, difference, otherness to, well, actually, we can create heaven on earth. So how are we going to be together? And how, yeah, yeah, it's
Yes, so,
beautiful. Great.
yeah, really
Interesting.
great stuff. I'm excited. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so were you open to sharing a breath
Yes,
today? Were you going
absolutely.
to?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
we've been talking about the polyvagal theory, and we've already kind of hit upon a few key elements of what works and why Kundalini yoga in particular can work so well. It's because it's blending all of those things, sound, breath, and movement. I'd like to share with you meditation for a calm heart, which is perfect for beginners. Very interesting, interesting focal points and just an opportunity to sit with the breath and a little bit of pressure on the body. So if you follow along, we would normally start by tuning in Om Namo, Gurudev Namo. I'll just do it like that since we're on time right now. Placing your left hand over the center of your chest. So here we're connecting with one part of the polyvagal system, which is running through the chest and the heart space. And this thumb is pointing towards your chin. So you just want to center it there. And remember now, you're making contact with your vagus nerve. And then with the other hand, first finger and thumb to touch. So you know this is the mudra of wisdom. And in this format, we're allowing wisdom to be the antenna. Gently close your eyes now. I'll keep my eyes open just to make sure that, Steph, you're good, and I'm keeping myself aware of what's happening around me. And from here now, as you close your eyes, just come into your breath. Take a few long, deep breaths. And now we'll add a little bit more emphasis to the breath. And that is to inhale for a count of 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then exhale for a count of 5. Good. Now I've added those counts, and what I'm hoping to show you is that the hold is on the retention is where you want to put a little more emphasis. So go ahead now and inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. This is resetting the nervous system. And then holding 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's do another minute or so. And Steph, I'm going to allow you to go at your own pace. If you still need the counting, I'll go ahead and do that for you. Otherwise, it's really to inhale slowly, hold as long as you possibly can, and then exhale slowly. I've added the counts to make it a little easier on screen, and I do that myself just to keep my mind from wandering. Good. Let's do 2 more rounds. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's add one more round. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. And pause with your hands in place. Relax into the breath. So noticing your experience. And then slowly, gently relax your hands down. And Satnam.
Ah, Satnam. Lovely.
Yes,
Amazing, isn't it?
a little pick me up in the middle of the day. Sort of increase that bandwidth of vagal tone. That's what we're doing, is toning the vagal system and allowing it to be flexible enough to take on life's challenges, as you mentioned before, and also in a cooperative place. So we can bring it back online if we do, have to freak out about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. Well, that spaced me out. That's made me feel very relaxed and chilled. I don't know what to say now, but I
Okay.
guess we should give it wrap it all up.
Yes. Okay. So polyvagal theory, a really good way for us to understand the power and impact of a yoga practice. In particular, we've been talking about Kundalini yoga, which is we kind of like that stuff. And to really and to know that there's science now backing all of these, you know, seemingly esoteric practices, but they're actually scientifically grounded and very useful, especially with all the stresses that are happening in the world right now. So that's good to know. Uh,
Yeah.
Number two, the more you read, the more you know, and the more information you're exposed to, the better off, the more welcoming we can be of others' experiences. And number three, we're coming on back in a couple of weeks' time to present
Yeah.
more information. And I think this is, this has been a personal commitment from you and I is to say, let's keep conversations going. Let's see how we can engage with our community, with our online world. And we're happy to hear of any other comments, suggestions, topics that all of you would like to be exposed to. And we'll do our best to bring that forward every 2 weeks or so.
Lovely. Yeah, we got one comment I can see. Thank you, Shaktis from Deborah. Well done. I am going to share. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. That's lovely. So yeah, we're always happy to receive comments, questions, anything. I've got my eye on the chat there. So yeah, a couple of weeks time we'll put the topic out once we've decided what we're going to do. We've got a short list. So yeah, it's been really fun, and we'll put all our information on our classes, our courses, our trainings, and any further information we want to put. It'll all be in the comments, and maybe we'll see you on the mat one day.
Yes. Satnam.
Been a pleasure. Satnam. Bye, Salima.
Bye, London.
Bye, Toronto.